In this class, we will study about our JavaScript classes. So earlier when ES6 was not launched, this concept of class was not introduced. Okay, so after ECMAScript 2015 version was launched, it only introduced the JavaScript classes. Okay, so in the earlier versions, it was not supported. This class syntax was not supported in the earlier versions of JavaScript. Okay, so how do we write our class? Okay, so we'll see that. So for that, we'll make our file over here, new file. Okay, so here what I will do, I will give our topic as classes. Okay, so how do we write a class? Okay, so how do we initialize our class? Means what is the syntax for writing a class? Okay, so we'll simply use our class keyword like this. So by this class keyword, we can write our class. Okay, then we have to provide our class name. Okay, so you can give any class name over here. Okay, so this is the class name. Okay, if you want to give any name, you can give over here. Then provide a curly brace over here. Okay, then provide a constructor. Okay, like this. Okay, so this is the constructor. So I'm just telling the syntax of the class. I will tell you what is the constructor and what is the use of this constructor. Okay, and I'm simply telling what is the syntax of class. Okay, how do we write a class? Over here we'll give a parenthesis over here, and inside this we'll give some we'll write some code over here. Okay, so any code. Okay, so we'll later see what we can write in our constructor over here. Okay, so this is the basic syntax of class. Okay, so how do we write a class? So first we write a this class keyword and then the name of the class. Okay, you can give any class name and then you have to provide constructor. So it is compulsory. Okay, it is actually this constructor is compulsory in this class. Okay, and inside that you will give some code over here, write some code over here. Okay, now let us take one example over here. So what I will do, I will take class and then I will simply write our class name. Suppose I will write class car. Okay, so this car is the class name of this class. Okay, so this I will put curly braces over here. Now you can see we have to write constructor over here like this. So we'll mention a constructor. Okay, then we'll put a parenthesis and then our curly braces. Okay, so here you can see we are writing the same syntax from above. Okay, now we have to write something over in this constructor over here. So what we will write inside this constructor? Okay, so here suppose we want the car details. Okay, so what is the car name? Okay, and the year of manufacturing. Okay, suppose. So what I will do here, I will pass two parameters. Okay, so the first parameter is name and I want the manufacturing year. Okay, so manufacturing year. Okay, so manufacturing year like this. So we are passing two parameters. So we want our name and the second parameter is manufacturing year. So we want our name and manufacturing year. So we are passing it as a parameter. Okay, we want the values. So we are passing it as a parameter. Now what we want is we want to pass the values. Okay, so we want the name of this car. Okay, so here we can access this car by this keyword over here like this. So we have studied earlier, this refers to the owner of the function, and here when we use class, this always refers to the class owner. Okay, so here you can see this constructor is the child of this car over here. Okay, means the owner of this constructor is this class, this car class. Okay, so this will refer to this car class over here. Okay, so now what we'll do, we'll simply we want to access the name. Okay, so I'll simply write this dot name equals to name. Okay, so here you can see we are writing two times. Okay, so here when I will erase this, you can see this color has changed. Okay, when I will write change over name over here, you can see it is darkened, means this name is this thing over here. Okay, here when we write the same thing, this dot name, so it is not changing the color, means this name is not used yet. Okay, but when we write name over here, you can see this name is darkened, means this parameter is this name over here. Okay, so here you can see what we are doing is we are assigning the value, means we are assigning the property value of this property, name property. Okay, so this name is the property of this car over here. Okay, this dot name is actually like this car dot name. Okay, so indirectly it is car dot name. Okay, so this refers to this car, and here we can access its property by dot. Okay, so we are accessing it by dot, so this dot name equals to name. Okay, so how we can get the name? Now we'll mention another. We have to pass this manufacturing year also, so we'll simply use manufacturing year like this equals to manufacturing year like this. Okay, so we are passing two parameters over here and we are using both the things over here. Okay, now what we'll do, we want to pass a certain value. So how we can pass a certain value to this name over here? So we have to create our class. Okay, so we have to create this an object. Okay, so how do we create an object? So basically with the help of new keyword, what we'll do, we'll create our car object. Okay, so we have to create this object over here. Okay, so when we are writing a function, it is necessary to call that particular function in order to execute that function. Over here when we are using class, so it is necessary to create an object. Okay, so it is necessary to create this car object over here. And how do we create our car object? By using the new keyword. Okay, so here you can see we'll use let, because we are this class is introduced in ES6 version. Okay, so in this ES6 version we use let and const. Okay, so this is the same as var. Okay, var. Okay, so we are using let over here, so we can later change. Okay, so the difference between let and const is we can't assign in const, we can't assign a variable or a value two times. Okay, but in let we can assign a value afterwards. Suppose here I will suppose let number equals to 1. Okay, so I've taken number as 1. Then after, if I will assign the number as 2, so it will take the number value as 2. Okay, but when we'll use const like this, and then again we'll use const like this, so it will not take the second value, it will give us an error. Okay, so here we want to reassign our variable, so here we will use let keyword over here. Okay, so we'll remove this. Now we'll take a variable, that is we can take any name. Okay, so we'll take car1, so we are taking a variable over here. So let car1 equals to, so we'll create our car object. So how do we create our car object? By using the new keyword. So we'll simply use new car. Okay, so this is the car class name, and in this way, by using this new keyword, we can create our object. So here you can see we are passing two parameters. Okay, so inside this constructor we are passing two parameters, that is name and the manufacturing year. Okay, so inside this car we have to pass all the values of these parameters. Suppose we want the car name to be Hector like this. Okay, sorry, so here we'll provide the Hector, and we want to provide the manufacturing year, so I will suppose 2016. So here what we are doing is we are just creating this object over here, and we are passing two parameters, two values of this name and manufacturing here. Okay, so this is the syntax of the class, and this is the way of for creating a class. Okay, so this name will go to this name over here, and from here it will go to this name over here, and from this it will assign the property to this car property name over here. Okay, so I'll show you one thing. What I will do, I will simply console log. Okay, now here what I will do, I will console log car dot name like this. Okay, let's see whether our this name, like car name, has this value or not, vector value or not, because we are assigning this car name and we are initializing this car object, we are creating this car object, and we are assigning this vector value in this name property over here. Okay, so let's save this, and first we'll change the path to index 29 from here. Now let's see what is the result. So we'll open our console log, we'll refresh. So here you can see we are getting our car. Actually, here what we'll do, remove this line of code over here. So here we'll see what is the result. So here we are getting our car. Okay, so it is coming from 19th line. Okay, from here. So what we are doing, we are doing a mistake here. So here we are assigning all the values to this car one. Okay, so we have to access this car one. So every property, every value of this car is assigned to this car1 variable. Okay, so if we want to access the name or the manufacturing here we have to access from this car1, not from this car class. Okay, so we'll use this car1 dot name like this, and we'll save this. And now when we refresh, we should get our car name as Hector. Okay, so here we are getting our car Hector. Now what we'll do, we'll make another console log, and we'll simply use our second property, that is manufacturing year. Now let's see what is the result. So we are getting our manufacturing year as 2016. Okay, so what we are doing is, first we are writing a class. Okay, so in this way we can write our class with this class keyword and then the class name. Okay, then we are providing a constructor. Okay, so this is compulsory. Okay, so whenever this object is created, this constructor is called. Okay, so whenever this object is created, this car object is created, always this constructor is called. Okay, so here when we are creating this object, so I will explain this one over here. So we want our two properties, that is the name and manufacturing year. So how can we pass this thing, name and manufacturing year, to this object creation? Okay, so we can pass it by, there is only one method, that is by passing through parameters. Okay, in every case we have to pass a parameter. Okay, so here we are passing these two parameters. Okay, in order to get the value from the car object. Okay, whenever we create our car object, this value will come. Okay, so here we are passing two parameters, name and manufacturing year, and then what we want the car name and the manufacturing year of the car. Okay, so how can we write? So here we can write like this. So we want our car dot name, so car is the class name, and we want to access the property of that particular car name. Okay, so we'll simply access it by dot and then name. Okay, so here we are inside this car, so we can access it by this keyword. Okay, because it directly refers to this car over here. Okay, car class. So we'll simply access by this dot name and this name over here. this is the same as this name over here. Okay, so if this name will come, okay, as suppose Hector, so it will be first, it will be assigned to this here. When we pass this Hector over here, so it will first come here in this name, and from here it will come to this name, and from here it will be assigned to this dot name. Okay, means the car property, name property of this car. Okay, so here in this way we are assigning the this dot name as name. Okay, so this is, these two are the same. Okay, and here this you can give any name. Okay, so here you can also give car name, and you can give any name you want. Okay, so car manufacturing year, like this. Okay, so suppose I will save this. So here what I am doing, we are assigning this value. Okay, so here if we want to extract this value, now this property name is car name. Okay, now if we want, if we'll extract this name value, okay, car1 dot name. So now car has no property by this name property. So now car has two properties. First is the car name, and the second is car manufacturing year. Okay, like this. So now car has two properties, these two properties. You can see we have changed the name, this dot car name and this dot car manufacturing year. So now car has these two properties. Okay, so from here, this, these two values, this will come to here, and from here to here. Okay, it will be assigned to this property. Now if we assign it to car name, okay, like this dot car name, now we'll get our car name as Hector. Okay, when we refresh this, so here we are getting Hector, and in the second case we are getting undefined, because now car has no property called manufacturing year. So here we have our car manufacturing year, we don't have this manufacturing year property. Okay, so it is getting undefined over here. Okay, suppose here what we will do, we'll simply change the name from manufacturing year to car manufacturing year. Now we'll refresh this, so you can see here we are getting the year as 2016. Okay, so here we can give a different name also, but it is the best practice to give the same name in order to understand it clearly. Okay, so I will make it in the same name as the value. Okay, so in this way we can create our car object by using this new keyword over here. So we are passing these two values because we have passed two parameters over here, that is the name and the manufacturing year. Okay, so we have to pass these two values. Suppose here what we'll do, we'll remove this value over here. Now we don't have access of this manufacturing year, means this property of this car name. Okay, so now if we want to access this manufacturing year, now we'll not be able to access this manufacturing year because we don't have any value for this manufacturing year. Suppose what I will do, I will simply give the manufacturing year property. Okay, now we'll save this. So we have our manufacturing year property, but we don't have any value for that manufacturing year. Okay, now when we save this and we'll refresh this, now we are getting undefined because this manufacturing year don't hold any value. Okay, so inside this constructor we are passing two parameters. So when we initialize this car object, so we have to give that much parameter inside that car object. Okay, like this. Okay, so we are passing two parameters, so here we are passing two values over here. Okay, now we'll see how we can add a method to this car object over here. Okay, so this is the method, this is also a method. This constructor method is out, it is basically when this car object is created, this constructor is automatically called. Okay, so we don't have to call this constructor. Okay, whenever this car object is created, means this car object is created, this constructor is automatically called. Okay, so now what we'll do, we will add suppose new method, okay, inside this class. Okay, now what we'll do, here we'll pass some, like we can we'll pass some, suppose we will pass a method over here. Okay, we'll give that method name as age. Okay, so we want to know how many years old that car is. Okay, so what we'll do, inside this age method we'll initialize a date. Okay, we'll initialize a date object. Let date equals to, so we initialize our date like this with the help of new date. Okay, so this is the syntax in which, by which we can initialize our date object. Then what we'll do, we want to access the year. Okay, so how we can access the year, by date dot get full year. You can see here we are getting certain properties that our date method provides. So we'll use our get full year. Okay, and from here what we'll do, we'll minus the subtract the year, actually the manufacturing year. Okay, so in this way we can get our how many years old the car is. Okay, so this manufacturing year. Okay, so we'll pass this manufacturing year over here. So here you can see we want to, so we'll have to return this statement. Okay, so here inside this method what we are doing, we are initializing a date and then we are returning this particular code over here. Okay, so date dot get full year. So first we are getting the full year and then we are subtracting from the manufacturing year of this car. Okay, now here what we are doing, we are initializing with the same value. Okay, now what we'll do, we want to access this age method over here. Okay, so here what I will do, first I want to output the result. Okay, so I'll simply output, will first target inside index.html. We have our demo id over here, so we'll target this demo id first by using the document dot get element by id, and then we'll target our demo id over here. Okay, and then we'll write our, we want to insert the text, so we'll use our inner html equals to, suppose what we want, we want the, we want this age over here. Okay, so we want to access this age method. So how we can access our age, so simply this is the car class and this method is inside this car class. Okay, so by using this car class we can access this age method over here. Okay, so what we'll do, we'll use, but here, so here you can see we are storing all the values in this car1 variable. So we have our both the values in this car1 variable, so we can access our car by using the car1. And then if we want to access, so we are accessing the properties like this. Okay, so we have our name property, then manufacturing year, so we want to access our method age method over here. Okay, so we'll put a dot over here, so you can see we are getting manufacturing year, name, all the properties. Now if we type a, so here you can see we are getting our age. Okay, so this is the method, so we have to use parentheses like this. Okay, so these two are the properties, so we don't have to use our parenthesis sign, but here we are using this method, so we have to use our parenthesis. Okay, now we'll save this and let's see what is the result. We'll refresh this, so we are getting our answer as 2. Okay, because the current year is 2020 and here the manufacturing year is 2018. Okay, so 2020 minus 2018 gives us the result as 2. Okay, so in this way we can initialize a method inside this class, and we can use by using this. Suppose we want to access this age over here, so here we can access this age method like this. Okay, by this, so here we are declaring this, creating this object, car object, and we are storing all the values inside this car1 variable. Okay, so now if we want to access any property or any method that is inside this car class, so we have to use first this car1 variable. Then if you want to access this name property, so you can use dot name, or if you want to use the manufacturing year, so you can use dot manufacturing year. Okay, suppose you have to use this age method, so you can use car1 dot age. Okay, so it is a method, so you have to use parenthesis over here. Okay, so in this way we can use our method and our property inside this class. So we have learned how we can create classes. Now we'll learn how we can inherit the properties or methods from one class to another class. Okay, so it is called class inheritance. So we'll give right here class inheritance. Okay, so we are inheriting the properties and methods of one class to the other class. Okay, so what we will do, we'll suppose copy this code over here. Okay, like this, and I'll paste over here. I will comment all these codes. So we have our car class and we have a constructor with two parameters over here, name and manufacturing year. Okay, and we are passing all these, we are passing the values from here. If we suppose have to create an object, okay, so we are creating like this, so we are passing these values to this name over here, and from there we are passing the properties of this car. Okay, we are passing the values of these two properties, name and manufacturing year. Okay, now what we'll do, we'll take another class. Okay, so we'll take, suppose after here, what I will do, I will simply ignore this method over here and I will write new method. Okay, suppose here what I will do, I will give any name. Suppose here I will give only age only. Okay, and inside there what I will do, I will simply return the name. Okay, this car name over here. Okay, so I will simply use return, and then I will use this dot name. Okay, means inside this age is, this is the owner of this age method over here. Okay, so this means this directly refers to this car object over car class over here. Okay, so we are accessing the name property of this car class. Okay, so this is the first method we are using in this car class. Okay, now what we'll do, we'll use this age. Okay, so we'll use another name, suppose random. So I'm giving any name, you can give any name you want. Okay, this is the method name. Okay, so what I will do, I will use this method in another class. Okay, so how we can do that, so I will simply use a new class, we can give any name. Suppose I will give model over here. Okay, so in order to use this method, we have to use extend keyword. Okay, like this, we'll use extends, and if you want to use the properties of or methods of this class, so we have to simply use extends and the name of the class that you want to inherit the methods and properties. Okay, here what I will do, I will put the curly brace over here. Now I have to use this constructor. Now what I will do, I will pass one parameter, that is the brand. Okay, so you can pass any parameter over here. So I want the brand name. Okay, so I'll simply pass the parameter brand over here. Now what I will do, I will put the curly braces here, and in order to use this name over here, so I want to use this thing, this random method over here. Okay, so here will not pass brand. Okay, actually what I want is I want the name. Okay, brand name. Okay, so here we are passing name actually. So here we'll pass the same parameter like this, the name. Okay, so in order to access this constructor over here, means if you want to access the another constructor, means another class constructor, so we have to use our super keyword like this. Okay, and then in the parameter we have to pass the this name over here. Okay, like this. So here what I will do, I'll simply pass the name in this constructor, in this super keyword over here. Okay, so by doing this, now we have access to this parent class constructor. Okay, so this super method refers to the parent class. Okay, and then we are passing the name, means this parameter over here, we are passing this name to this parameter over here. Okay, so in now what we will do, we'll create another method, so we can make any method, you can give any method name. Okay, inside this what I will do, will simply use the name. Okay, so what I will do, I will use simply this dot. So I want to use this here. What I will do, just a minute. So we want to access this random method over here from this class. Okay, from another class. So now what we'll do, we'll simply use this dot random. So it is a method, we have to give a parenthesis over here. Okay, then what we are doing, we are creating a car object. Okay, so we are creating a car object over here. Now what we'll do, we'll simply output the result. Okay, so we want to output the result in our demo id. Okay, demo id is coming from over here. Okay, so this is the demo id, so we are passing all the things inside this demo id, inside this div. So here we'll write demo dot inner html equals to. Now how can we access this show method? Okay, so here we have our car1 variable, we are storing all the car details inside this car1. Okay, so we have to, we if we want to access the methods or the properties, okay, so we can access through this car1 variable. Okay, so we'll simply write car1 dot, suppose I want to use this show method. Okay, so I'll simply use show like this. So it is a method, so we have to pass parenthesis over here. Okay, now when we save this, like here when we refresh this thing, here we aren't getting anything, so we have to, so we'll check why it is not getting. So we'll open our inspector. So here we are getting an error, car1 dot show is not a function. Okay, so here we are making a mistake. Actually here when we are passing this car1, so it is not referring to the correct class name. Okay, so here we are accessing this show. Okay, so this show has this class. Okay, this show method has this class, and here we are creating this class object. Okay, so we have to change this class name, so we have to create this model class object. Okay, so here if we want to, we have to change the car to model. Okay, so if we are using this method, of this model class, so it is necessary to create this model object, okay, not this car object. Okay, we are just inheriting the properties or methods from this class to this class by using this extends car, okay, extend keyword. Okay, now when we save this and when we refresh, so we should get our actor. Okay, so we are passing car1 dot show, so this show method has this dot random. Okay, so this dot random is coming from this class. Okay, this method over here, and inside this we are returning the name. That name is the this name over here. Okay, so we are passing this Hector over here, that is the name of this car. Okay, now I will explain you from the beginning. Okay, so I will remove all this code over here, this extra code, and we don't have to use this parameter over here, so I will remove this thing. Okay, so from start what we are doing is we are creating a class, that is this car class over here, and inside that we are providing a constructor, and inside that constructor we are passing a parameter, that is the name. Okay, that is the car name. Okay, so we are passing this name to this name property. Okay, so this refers to the car class over here. Okay, so we want the property, that is the name, so we can actually write like this car dot name. So car has this property, that is the name, and we want the value to be name, come to this name parameter. Okay, that is the name variable over here. Okay, so we want to simply here this is the name property over here. Okay, and we want to output the value as this name. Okay, now what we are doing, we are creating another method, that is the random method over here, and inside that method we want our name to be returned. Okay, this name, okay, this value. Okay, so this is the property, this name is the property of this class, so we can use with this keyword over here. Okay, so this refers to this car, so we want the name property value, okay, inside this random method. Okay, now what we want, we are making another class. Okay, and inside that what we want to inherit the methods and properties of this class. Okay, so we are simply using this extend keyword, and we are simply mentioning the name of the class that we want the method to be, that we want the method from where we want the method to be inherited. Okay, so here in this case it is compulsory to write the constructor. Okay, so we are inside this constructor we are passing the name parameter over here because we want the car name. Okay, so here we are using the name. Okay, and inside this constructor we are mentioning the super keyword. Okay, so by mentioning this super keyword, what we are doing, we are referring to the parent element. Okay, parent class, sorry. So this super keyword refers to the parent class. Okay, so here we are, and inside this what we are doing, we are mentioning the one parameter, that is the name. Okay, so now we have access to this car class. Okay, so by writing this super, now we have access to the car properties and methods. Okay, so these properties and methods. Okay, now we have created another method, and inside that we are passing this dot random. Okay, so from random is the method of this car class, so now we have access of this methods and properties of this class, methods and properties, by when we are writing this super, so now we have access to these properties and methods. Okay, so here we are simply passing this dot random, means random refers to this method over here. Okay, so inside this show method we are just passing this random, and inside this random method we are just passing the name. Okay, so just we are returning the name of this car. Okay, now what we want to create this create an object of this model class. Okay, so it is compulsory to, so inside function, what is compulsory, when we execute a function it is necessary to call a function, and inside this class it is necessary to create an object of this class. Okay, so by using this new keyword we are creating the class. Okay, creating an object of this model class. Okay, so we'll remove this extra parameter value over here. Okay, extra argument. So here we have only one parameter, that is the name, so we are only passing only one value over here. Okay, now what we want to output this show method. Okay, we want to output the return this show method, we want the value of this show method. Okay, so all the properties of this model class is stored in this car1 variable. Okay, so if you want to access any properties or methods of this model class, we can access through this car1 variable. Okay, so we'll simply use car1. Okay, like this. So by the help of dot operator we can access all the properties and methods that is inside this class. Okay, so we are accessing the show method over here like this. So we are using car1 dot show, and this returns this dot random. Random method refers to this method over here, because we are inheriting the method of this class. Okay, so we can use this random over here. Okay, so inside this random method we are returning the name. Okay, the name is this car name. Okay, so we are passing a name that is Hector. Okay, so this name refers to the Hector over here. Okay, so this comes, this is the value, this Hector is the value of this car name property over here. Okay, so we are passing a value to this name property over here. Okay, when we save this we'll get Hector over here. Okay, suppose if we want to change, suppose if we change the value like to Baleno, it will change its name to Baleno. Okay, like this we can access all the parent methods and properties by using this super and extend keyword over here. Okay, so in this way we can inherit any class methods and properties, and we can use it in any class. Okay, by this extend keyword over here. Okay, now we will use a keyword that is static. Okay, so what is the use of this static keyword? Okay, so probably this will be the last topic of your JavaScript course. Okay, so here what I will do, I will simply copy this class. Okay, like this. Here I will paste it, and I will simply call this create an object of this car class. Okay, so I'll simply change it to car like this. Okay, now by use now we'll use a static keyword. Okay, so first of all I will comment all this code over here. Okay, so what is the use of static keyword? Okay, so I will show you here. In this random method we'll use our static keyword like this. Okay, so now what we are doing, we are simply adding our static keyword. Okay, and now what we want to output the result. Okay, so we want to output the name. Okay, so I'll simply output by using the document dot get element by id demo. So we want to access the demo, we are accessing the demo id, and then what we want the name. Okay, so we can access this car class by using this car1. Okay, so we are creating this car object over here, and we are storing all the properties inside this car1. Okay, so if we want to access the properties we can access through this car1 variable. Okay, so now what we'll do, we'll simply use car1, so and dot random like this. So this is the method, so we have to use random like this. Okay, now when we save this, okay, so I'll simply remove static keyword over here. Okay, now we are just accessing this random method over here. We are creating an object of this car class and we are storing it in this variable, and from here we are accessing this random method. Okay, we'll go to our browser by saving. After saving this, we'll go to our browser and check. So we are getting our Baleno over here. Okay, now here we'll apply our static keyword like this. Okay, now if we save this, now when we refresh this, so here we are getting car1.random is not a function, so we are getting an error. Okay, so why we are getting an error? So what is the use of this static keyword? When we use this static keyword, so we can't call a static method on an object. Okay, so this is an object. Okay, this new car is an object. Okay, we can simply call this static method with the help of this class over here, this car class. Okay, so we can directly access the car class like this. Okay, so we don't have to use this car1 variable. Okay, so we don't have to call this static keyword by creating an object. Okay, so here we are just simply passing this car class over here. Okay, and then we are passing the method. Okay, now when we save this, we should get our result. Okay, so here we are getting our r dot random. We are getting an different thing over here. Just a minute. So here what I will do, I will simply change the return. So I will show you. I'll simply output a string over here. Okay, like hi. Okay. Now when we save this, here we'll refresh this. So we are getting our hi. So I'm just telling the use of this static keyword. Okay. So we can't call a static method on an object. Okay, like here this is a object, car1 is an object. Okay, so we can't call a static method on an object. Okay, we can only call a static method on an object class. Okay, means this car class. Okay, we can directly call this method like this. Okay, so we don't have to use this car1 variable because this is the object. Okay, so we are creating an object and storing it in this car1 variable. Okay, so if you want to access any static method, you can directly access from the class. Okay, from this class over here. Okay, so we have to we don't have to use car1 because this is an object, so we can directly access the car object class like this and mention the static method over here. Okay, if suppose it is not a static method, if this was not a static method, we can use like this. We can car1 if suppose this if it is not a static method. Okay, so we can use the object, okay, of this car class. Okay, so it is a static method, so we have to use our car class like this over here. Okay, so this is it. This is some of the use of classes. Okay, so this was introduced in ES6 version. Okay, this was not introduced earlier. It was used when it was introduced when this ES6 version came. Okay, so I think this is all for your JavaScript course. Okay, so this class was the last topic of your JavaScript course. Okay.